Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we will go through what factorials are. So first thing first, let's see what factorials are. So factorials are basically how many times we can arrange a thing, arrange an object. And let's take an example of it, shall we? Let's imagine we have three boxes. I'll write it as 1, 2, 3. We have three boxes, 1, 2, 3, and how many times we can arrange this. So it's one time, and 1, 3, 2, it's two times. Let's take 2, 1, 3. Let's take 2, 3, 1, and then take 3, 2, 1, and 3, 1, 2. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times we can arrange it. So this is the factorial of 3. It's 3 factorial, and 3 factorial is equal to 6. So now we know what factorials are. So let's try to solve these factorials. Let's try to solve it mathematically. So let's take an example of 3 factorial, shall we? So to solve 3 factorials, we'll just have to multiply it by its less numbers, like 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6. Let's take another example. Let's take 5 factorials. 5 factorial would be 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is equal to 5 times 4 is 40, and so it's 120. So now we know how we can calculate factorials mathematically, how we can write factorials mathematically. So let's learn how to add factorials together. Let's take an example of 2 factorials plus 3 factorial. So to solve this, we'll just have to open the factorials. Like we'll just write it 2 times 1, 2 times 1 times 3 times 2 times 1. And 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6, and this will be just 8. So we know 2 factorials plus 3 factorial is equal to 8. Okay, so now we know how to add factorials. Let's learn how to multiply factorials. So we'll take an example. Let's take an example 3 factorial. Let's write it as this: 3 factorials times 4 factorials. So for this, we'll just do the same thing as we've done for the addition. We'll just open the factorials. It is 3 times 2 times 1 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 3 is 12, and will be 24. And 6 times 24 is 144. So there is it. We've got our answer. 3 factorials times 4 factorial is equal to 144. So now we know how to add factorials and how to multiply factorials. Let's learn how we can divide factorials, and it is the most important thing. This will be the most important expression you will see, like dividing factorials. Let's take an example of 9 factorials divided by 7 factorial. Let me just correct that. Divided by 7 factorials. So for division, we will just open the factorial which is bigger than the other. So in this case 9 is bigger, so we'll just open the factorial 9 factorial as 9 times 8 times 7, and we'll just write it as 7 factorial. So because we could, let me just correct that again. So because we can just cut it out. So there's only left 9 times 8, which is 72. Let's take another example of division. But for now, we'll take 4 factorials times 5 factorials divided by 6 factorials. In this expression, we're getting multiplication and division at the same time. So for this, as I've told you, for the division, we'll just open the denominator as 6 times 5 factorials. So we could cut the 5 factorials at the end, open the 4 factorials too. So let's write it as 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 times 5 factorial divided by divided by 6 times 5 factorials. We can just cancel the 5 factorials and we can cancel 3 times 2 with 6. So the answer we will just left would be 4 times 1, which is 4 factorials, which is 4. I'm sorry. Which is 4, and the answer we get is 4. So 4 times 5 factorial divided by 6 factorial is equal to 4. So now we've learned how to add by factorials, how to multiply by factorials, how to divide by factorials. And just for the information, 0 factorial will always be equal to 1. And why is that? So you guys know that 0 is nothing, and factorial of nothing would be only 1, because this we can arrange nothing only as nothing. Do you understand it? Like let's take an example. Like we have nothing over here. Okay, how many times we can arrange this? Only one time. We cannot arrange it with any other thing too. So 0 factorial is equal to 1. So let's just keep that in mind. 0 factorial is equal to 1. And let's hop into expressing it algebraically. You might get the expressions like n plus 1. I'm sorry, let me just write n plus 1 factorial divided by n factorials. So for this, let's take an example first. Let's take an n is equal to 7. So let me just solve this thing. We'll just put it the equation. We'll just put the 7 in the equation. So n plus 1 is equal to 7 plus 1 is 8 factorial divided by 7 factorial. So it just gives us the division. So as I've told you, for the division, we'll just open the one that is bigger. So in this case it's 8. So 8 plus 7 factorial divided by 7 factorial. So we'll just cut the 7 factorial with each other and we'll get the 8. So for this expression we get the answer n plus 1. So n plus 1 factorial divided by n factorial is equal to n plus 1. So let's solve this algebraically. Let's solve this expression algebraically. So n plus 1, and we'll just take a 1 less of it, and let's take another less of it, n minus 1 factorial, because you're in factorial, you take 1 less of each other, you multiply with 1 less of them. So that's why we're taking 1 less of n plus 1 and 1 less of n. It's minus, not multiply. Okay. And in the denominator, we will do the same. N factorial will multiply by n minus 1 factorial. And we'll just cancel these two out, and we get the answer n plus 1. So let's see if we can Okay, so let's take another one. There's another one we can try. Let's take an example of n minus 1 factorial divided by n factorial. Yeah, for this expression, we'll just do the same. N minus 1 factorial, we'll just write it as it is. N minus 1 factorial. As I've told you in the division, we just take the one that is bigger than the and open it up. And in this case, it's n because it's n minus 1. So n is the bigger number over here. So we'll just write it as it. N fact n into n minus 1 factorial. For this, we can just cancel the n minus 1 factorial and we'll get the answer 1 over n. Let's solve this by an example. Let's take n, for example, let's take n as 8. And let's solve this. N minus 1 is 7, 8 minus 1 is 7, and 8 factorial. We can just write it, we just open the 8 one over here. So 7 factorial divided by 8 times 7 factorial. We can just cancel the 7 factorial with each other and we'll get the answer 1 over 8, which we got the algebraic equation too, expression of it too. So let's try another one. You might see sometimes this expression also n plus 2 factorial divided by n factorial. As in the division case, we just open the one that is bigger. In this case, it's n plus 2. So we'll just open the n plus 2 factorial 1 n plus 2 into n plus 1 into n factorial divided by n factorial. Let me just rewrite it. Divided by n factorial. We can just cancel the n factorial and we'll get the answer n plus 2 n into n plus 1, n plus 2 into n plus, let me just rewrite this. I'm sorry guys. N plus 1. So you get the answer n plus 2 times n plus 1. Let's take an example. Let's take again n is equal to 8 and let's put it in. 8 plus 2 is 10, 10 factorial divided by 8 factorial. As in the case of division, as I've told you before, so we'll just open the one that is bigger. 10 times 9 times 8 factorial divided by 8 factorial. And 8 factorial would cancel each other, and as you can see, we've got the answer n plus 2, which is 10, and n plus 1, which is 9. So we get our answer 10 times 9. So let's try a last example, and will be 2n plus 1 factorial divided by 2, let me just rewrite it, divided by 2n factorial. So for this expression, as I've told you before, we'll just open the one that is bigger. In this case, it's 2n plus 1, so we'll just write it as 2n plus 1 multiplied by 2n factorial. And in the denominator, we have 2n factorial, and we'll just cancel this out, and we get the answer 2n plus 1. 2n plus 1. So that's it for today's video. guys, so now you know how to add factorials, how to multiply a factorial, how to divide by factorials, and you know some of the expressions of it. I hope you understand what factorials are. So that's it for the video, and meet you in the next time. I'll see you in the next video then. Have a good day. Bye bye.